Hi, everybody, and welcome. Today, Jess and I are going to talk about how we met and how you know when you've outgrown other people that you're with, and how you know when you're growing together. Because Jess is a friend that I met several years ago in Bali, and there's a connection, even though you only spend a little amount of time with someone, that where you know that you're resonant, your energy is connected. And I believe that that is due to sharing values. So knowing what you value and being able to articulate that clearly helps you in many arenas in your life. It helps you know when you've outgrown someone. It helps you know what your purpose is. It leads you down a decision-making pathway that is quick and effective, not just for now, but for the long haul. Welcome, Jess. I'm excited to have this conversation with you.
It's wonderful to be here, and I think this is going to be a very juicy conversation.
Well, Jess, why don't we start with all the ways we're different? Because a lot of times in the world, that's how people see the world. They look at people, places, cultures, things, talk about how different we are. And and it's a lot of our divided world today, seeing how different we are. So let's start there. Let's talk about how we're different. I've got black hair and you've got blonde.
Yeah. Blue eyes and brown eyes.
All right. You live in South Africa and were born there. I am of Indian descent, born in Michigan in the United States.
You're a doctor, and I'm a chef and empowerment coach.
I'm a coach too.
You're a coach too.
Yeah, I'd say, so my training is in engineering and medicine. And what did you go to school for?
Marketing and finance, but then I became a chef and coach.
Okay, because I went for engineering and medicine, and then I became an executive coach and culture transformation expert. So, and an author and a writer. So interesting how our paths, even within each of our paths, we were talking about how we were different, but how interesting that what we've both studied has led us back to coaching.
Absolutely. And I think it's a journey that we've been on, and the other choices we've made and kind of what we've explored that has taken us back to this position.
Yeah, and I think that comes from having similar values, but let's check it out. All right, so we're gonna play this game where we're gonna basically say 2 or 3 things that we appreciate about the other person. Okay. So what do I appreciate about you? I appreciate your adventurous nature, your love for aesthetics, and your love of excellence. Are those true for you?
Yeah, those are true for me.
Yeah, Thank you. All right. And now we'll do the reverse.
For me, I loved your sense of adventure too. That was really appealing to me. That was like very heartwarming to see the way you loved life. And I think your wisdom, I feel like you held a lot of wisdom. I really looked and admired you and your wisdom. I really could sit there and be like, wow, I could learn a lot. And I think also your appreciation for excellence and your drive. You're a very driven woman. Ambitious.
Wow. Well, thank you. And the trick here becomes, if any of you are confused about what your highest values are, pick somebody that you've chosen as a dear friend and pick 3 qualities that you admire about them. And then surprise, those are actually qualities that you value and you possess. Now, some of ours overlapped and they could be completely different, right? I could have picked that you were fun, loving, and lively. I could have picked your taste in fashion and your love of bright colors. Even if those were the 3 that I picked, what it'll give me is not just what I care about in you, but what is in me. Because as I'm saying those things, I'm paying attention. Yeah, you're wearing, pink and orange. Well, I've got a pretty purple lipstick and sweater on myself, right? So if you ever get stuck, like, hey, what do I value? Pick a few people around you that you admire and name what you value in them, and then surprise, those things are in you. So that's a quick way to start getting clear on what you value, because what you value determines how you make decisions, and you want to be conscious about that. So Jess, let's talk a little bit about using what you value and this adventure that you've been on. What matters to you about coaching and about being a chef? Why is that meaningful to you?
I think a long time ago, I realized that freedom was one of my highest values. And I remember I had just finished a mind power course with Dr. John Kehoe, and I said, I'm going to travel the world doing something I loved, and I'm going to get well paid to do so. And that was kind of how I felt at the time. I think I was about 22. And for me, it's learning. It's the journey of learning about yourself. I think when you travel, it's like the school of life, and the people, the places, the cultures, the food, everything gives you an experience of yourself, because it's just mirroring back to you who you are. But you get to see yourself in so many different ways and shapes and forms. And for me, that's why traveling the world has just been one of the biggest gifts I ever gave myself. And then coaching, like holding the mirror up for other people, for me is one of the most empowering things I've ever experienced. Watching people go through a metamorphosis journey and allowing people to see how extremely powerful, brilliant, gorgeous, and talented they really are is just very life-giving for me. So I'm very passionate about watching people step into who they really are and empowering them to live a life that lights them up. That's what really makes me come alive. And food has been a big part of my journey too. I traveled the world as a super yacht chef for 12 years, and I love that. But now I have merged the yachting and the coaching and kind of created a hybrid version. And the most important thing has always been for me is like, follow your bliss, do what makes you happy, and be authentic to who you are as a person.
And where did you learn to cook? When did this become, who was your mentor? Where did you pick up this as a passion?
My grandmother was Spanish Italian, so I think it was just part of the culture. I think I could roll spanakopita before I could walk, and so food's always been a big part of my life. But it was really when I was 12 years old and I was diagnosed with leaky gut, and I was taken off sugar, gluten, and dairy, that I really learned how to cook, because that was what I had to empower myself with the knowledge. And I healed myself with food then and on many other occasions. So I studied to be a holistic health and transformational nutrition coach, because I wanted to have that knowledge to empower other women that they can heal their body with food, and that I had experienced it firsthand and on several occasions. And I know you've had a similar experience recently with food and healing.
Yeah, I have actually. I got a parasite when I was traveling, and in that process, it stripped my gut lining, and I became pretty sensitive to hundreds of food, all the way down to olive oil. And for a woman who really didn't cook for the first 48 years of her life, what a shock it was to then need to learn how to cook with whole foods only, never eating out, because olive oil obviously wipes out eating out. But to learn to cook in such a restricted way and still be creative and make it delicious and learn to nourish myself. And so what was interesting that you just said is you basically, if you could sum up your purpose in coaching, what would it be?
I think it's empowering people to reconnect with who they really are and live life from that authentic place. It's like, remember who you are. And from that place, everything else unfolds. So it's that remembrance, but it's empowering people to step into who they are and to live their life from that place.
I love it. So my purpose is to awaken people to their personal power and empower them to live it.
Yeah, we're quite similar there.
And then in companies and organizations, when I do it, I tweak it a little bit, and I awaken leaders, teams, and organizations to their personal and collective power and empower them to live it. So
Incredible.
how could it be that a girl from South Africa and an Indian immigrant, daughter born in the US, one trained in marketing and finance and one trained in engineering and medicine, right, could find their way not only to a very similar place, me learning to nourish myself, you learning to nourish yourself, and then us learning to nourish other people in a way that awakens them to their personal power and empowers them to live it.
It's really quite special. And I think I remember meeting you in Bali and we just connected instantly. There was a whole group of us. And I remember we just connected and we started chatting about life and values and the way we saw the world. And I was like, oh, she's one of my soul sisters. She completely gets it.
Well, I feel exactly the same way. And, I think what is unique about what we are doing in our lives is both of us go on these outer adventures and we weigh equally heavy our inner adventure and exploring ourselves and exploring this vast space of how we can use our awareness and powerful tools to transform how we think, how we feel, in our relationship, whether it's to food, whether it's to our families, our partners, our jobs, and can't wait to see where this all unfolds.
That is an exciting journey ahead. And I feel like the butterfly wings are flapping against the chrysalis and there's going to be a lot of flight happening next year.
I'm excited for that. Thank you, Jess. Thank you so much.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
And if any of you are wondering, what is my purpose? I don't know, the whole world's changed. Now I'm ready to change my life, change my job. I'm ready to align more. Take a moment, surround yourself with the people that you admire. Either ask them, or you could even do it and not be with them. You could do it on your own and write down the values that are really important to you, the qualities you admire about them. And look at those and see if you can see that they are actually some of your highest values. And that'll be the beginning of guiding you into next steps. And if you've outgrown a circle of friends or a relationship or a job, that is important information too. And then what I would do is I would reflect back on why you chose that job, that relationship, that place to live in the first place, honor it. And then as you move forward, get ready to embrace the values that you have written down about who and what you admire. All right. Thanks again, Jess. And look forward to all of us creating more of what we want.